I thought we were timing it out.
Nobody timed it with you.
Do it again.
Ready.
What's up, everybody? Podcast time.
Time.
That was close. Close. Felt some harmonies there.
Mine had none.
I have a few staff members here with us, and one of the things that people brag on about our staff is, man, you guys are. It feels like you're a family. Feels like you're such good friends. Feels like all of you like each other. All of you are, have great relationships with each other. We're reading a book called Lead Like It Matters by Craig Rochelle, which happens to be Maddie's favorite pastor, so that's good.
You're my favorite pastor.
That's not what you told me.
He's
Anyways.
my not married favorite pastor.
Oh, okay.
You're
So,
my
Craig,
favorite.
if you're watching this, love to connect sometimes. You're awesome. And we're reading a book, and the last chapter was talking about unmistakable camaraderie. And to have that is unexplainable, that the staff and leadership teams and ministry teams have this unmistakable camaraderie. And I was like, man, as I was reading the chapter, I was like, this has so many similarities of who we are and our life, our ministry, our culture around here. And so I just thought, man, let's just bring everybody together and talk about unmistakable camaraderie inside of the staff, because a lot of pastors out there wish they had what we had. And I don't mean that in any sort of like arrogant way or any sort of jealousy. I'm talking like they just wish they had a better relationship inside of our staff. So how did we cultivate this relationship? What does it actually look like, the behind the scenes of our relationship and why it's so good? And just let's talk through unmistakable camaraderie. I'll start with Johnny and Christy. They got to a place in ministry where they had seen a lot of non-camaraderie and got to the place to where they said, I want to go there. If we have to hold doors there, I'd rather go there and be a part of that ministry and that culture than to, I don't know, maybe what did you see from the outside looking in at what God was doing here, or at the staff culture or the camaraderie we had here that made you want what we had?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
I think what was happening outside of the four walls of the church, as far as relationships and things like that, there was no boundaries. So it was, you were able to go out, you hang out, have relationship. I saw the relationship you had with Simeon, and that was something that you had a good relationship inside of the church, and that carried out throughout, like, just how y'all did life together. So it almost was like you could feel that love and kind of that genuine, authentic relationship inside the church. It wasn't just business only inside the church, even though I loved how y'all operated as far as the church goes. But I saw in that same mode, in that same setting, that love, that friendship, that relationship, where you carried out that.
How about you, Christy? Outside looking in, what did you see?
Well, like Johnny said, we knew your relationship. And honestly, this is going to sound weird, but we saw you celebrating Pastor Simeon well on social media. Yep. When he was leading worship at camp meeting, you were like his number one biggest fan. And I saw a ministry that was celebrating like others succeeding and their success, and when you win, I win kind of mentality. And for me, it had been a prayer for so long that Johnny would be connected to a pastor or a ministry that could help him become what I knew God had in him. And looking in, I just thought, man, it sounds weird, but they made ministry look fun and attractive. Like,
Super
this
cool.
This is what we want to be connected to.
I think we do a good job of celebrating around here. I hope we do a good job of celebrating around here. 10 years in, you still feel like I celebrate you well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, still your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Still be cheering you on.
Your biggest fan.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm his biggest fan.
Second biggest fan.
Thank you.
I think it's super cool because we do try to do that. We do, when Christy gets voted on the youth board, we're standing and cheering and applauding when she's, she spoke at youth camp this year, and I went there every night to cheer her on and to be a part of this, except for Monday because we had prayer, but or Wednesday, whatever day it was, but went to cheer her on, tell the world how awesome she is. When Carson spoke that morning, went to cheer him on, tell the world how awesome he is. When Joseph goes preaches somewhere and they share it, I share, that church's post about how awesome Joseph is. I try my best to be that, to celebrate, because I truly do think if we have the mindset that if you win, I win, then we all fight harder for each other's success. And I don't think, Neil Nolan and I did a podcast where we talked about how we don't do that well in the church world in general. We certainly don't do that well in staff culture. Because if we're not careful, I'm terrified of Joseph. Joseph's a way better preacher than me. I'm terrified if I'm not careful. Typical church mindset is I'm terrified of Joseph because he comes in, man, if he ever preaches, people will want him to be the new preacher here. And it sounds crazy, except for not about Joseph, but people have told me that stuff in previous, years in my life. Buck Love preached one time. I love you, Buck. Preached one time, and little old lady met me at the back door and said, why don't you let him be our preacher and you just be the administrator of the church. Scotty Sellers preached for us one time. A few people asked me to swap churches with him so that he could be our pastor. And so that stuff is there if you're not careful. But to have truly an unmistakable camaraderie, we've got to be able to celebrate each other. And I think that's a great outsider's perspective that you had looking in. Rachel, you've been around here for a long time. How many years?
10. I was
10
know
years.
how old Xander is.
On staff for 1, 2?
2.
On staff for 2. And you were in leadership. You saw camaraderie inside of the church.
For sure.
What made you want to take, because you've been offered staff roles. Kimberly, you as well, been offered a lot of staff roles. What made you want to take the role finally to be a part of what God is doing here?
I mean, besides, God just tugging at me to make that decision, but as far as camaraderie, what I saw was the same thing that made me stay, just to choose this to be my home church even 10 years ago, even though it was a tough entry for me. But it was friendships that developed that was authentic. And so I'd come in and you would just see the behind the scenes as glimpses. And I was like, oh, they're genuine and authentic in the office or when they're at dinner or when they're on stage on a Sunday. And I think just the genuineness of it, that you guys had friendships with each other, and you were pursuing righteousness together. I really was like, okay, that's the real deal. And so that's what made me stay connected to the church from the beginning, and was really, I think I said the other word just in conversation during book study, it was enticing. It was enticing to see the authenticity of friendships, but also let's chase after God together.
I love, Tony's back there running the sound for this podcast, but I love that through the years, one of the things that has made our relationship so healthy to me is that we had a great relationship, friendship, but we were pursuing righteousness together. And at any point, something unrighteous, maybe not immoral, but a joke or something somebody laughed at, it was always each of us sharpening each other to be more righteous. We're pursuing God, man. We're not going to let our guard down. And so it's kind of been something that was even conditioned way back when we were 18, 19 years old, that had been conditioned to be a part of the original staff. That, then you brought in the wild man Simeon, who stressed and stretched every version of righteousness that we had, and you'd be like, bro, you can't do that. What are you doing? And to even going on a cruise to where, my wife is the jokester of the crowd, and she always goes to the line and dances on the line, not in an unrighteous way, but and I always say, I tell you guys all the time, keep your guard up, because people, they're attracted to our pursuing God together, and I don't ever want to paint a picture that we're doing anything else other than that. And I think that's it's healthy, man. It's healthy to have that relationship with each other. We're going at this together. Kimberly, been around here a long time? 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years?
Yeah, I was about to
40
say
years.
10, 15. I'm 18 years.
18 years in.
Yep.
Almost an original. A few weeks in after we started, her and Tony
I'm an
started dating.
original. I'm
Almost
claiming
an
it.
original.
They're really strict about originals around here. Like,
Yeah, Maddie, I always tell her she's not an original Myrtle Beachian because she came here when she was 4. So,
and I'm 42.
2-ish.
But you
I
gotta be
will
born.
43 this
43.
year.
So I mean, good Lord.
Good Lord. We will officially adopt you.
Are you really going to?
I don't know.
No.
Maybe. Right
Let's
now,
celebrate.
yes. I don't know. I'll have to.
No. Until I am full, Kimberly is not.
I'll agree.
So, you honestly, you and Maddie are a great conversation for a relationship here where even inside of, I remember when we moved to this building and you said, I know our relationship has to change. I understand. And you were crying as you were saying it. I know our relationship has to change. I understand things are going to be different. And I just want you to know I'm at peace with it. I'm okay with it. I mean, I think things have probably changed a little bit, but not nearly maybe as much as you thought they were going to change.
Definitely not as much as what I thought they were going to change. I think we've kind of gotten closer in some aspects than others. So, yeah, I don't think it's changed as much as what I thought it was going to.
How have you created, you had Kimberly obviously early on, a lot of women that have come in and out of leadership and now women on staff. What's something that you're doing that as the pastor's wife, you're doing to help cultivate that closeness and that relationship with each other?
I don't know. I definitely try to occasionally we will, it all started for Rachel's birthday, but like go, hey, we're doing sunrise in the morning, and invite all the staff ladies. And before some of them were staff, it was, the wives of staff. Like last summer, or even like, before summer, I would say, hey, all of this ladies on staff, or even like the wives, Miss Elaine, Kimberly at the time, before she became staff, going to the beach Friday, anybody want to come? Like just trying to include everybody to build those relationships and to let them know that just because you're not staff or you are staff, like it's important to kind of have that relationship outside of the office as well.
Sure.
Even though we still, all have fun and do whatever. Like when Christy was pregnant, we went to the beach and we dug a hole for her little belly so that she could lay on her.
That wasn't a little belly.
She could lay on her belly.
No.
But even stuff like that, like just, sunrise, we went for Rachel's birthday. We tried to celebrate her birthday, and we did, hey, we're going to meet at this avenue on the pier. We're going to watch sunrise and then get coffee. So, like, the people that can come, they always know they're
That was
invited.
when you brought me that delicious croissant or something.
Yes.
Where's that from?
Milk and
Milk and
honey.
honey.
Milk and honey. It was so good.
Yes, it was really good the second time I went. The first time, it was good, but I didn't find the right coffee. Now I found the right coffee.
you
I
found the
like
right
there.
coffee.
But just, trying to include everybody.
Even like we were talking yesterday, like even birthday parties, for my kids now. Caleb's having a birthday party. I'm like, hey, what do you want to do or a birthday coming up? And I'm like, hey, what do you want to do for your birthday? And he said, hey, just invite staff over to the house. Let's play some games and eat dinner and, a few friends. And I'm like, that's so cool that even my kids, I know whenever Xander had his birthday, he said, what do you want to do? Oh, invite these people and the staff over for my birthday, and so it becomes, this is even our kids' family. What we're doing here together has transitioned even generational into where our kids are thinking, hey, we're going to, this is our family. We are going to walk this out together. And I think it's so cool. I think about, Evan and Eli getting married one day. And it sounds crazy now, except for when Anna Clark was that age, I used to say things about Anna Clark getting married. And when Kent was that age, I used to say things about Kent getting married. And now Kent's married. And Anna Clark is graduating high school and, who knows how long. And so now you start thinking, man, one day John DeHaven's going to get married and walk down the aisle. And I'm going to be there cheering him on, celebrating him, and telling a story, to the people around me going, man, that little kid wasn't even supposed to walk. And now he's walking down the aisle to be with the woman that he loves or whatever it may be, And so it's just really cool to see that it's even transitioned into generations. Irvin, you've been around here for a year, 2 years now.
At church?
At church.
It will be 3 years on Palm Sunday.
3 years
year.
Palm Sunday.
Oh.
And you have been on staff for
just over 6 months.
Just over 6 months.
Yes, sir.
And church culture, staff culture has been a
blessing.
A blessing. Shock to you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What did you think you were getting into whenever you came?
I kind of had a idea of what it was just because whenever I came here, I would see you, the way you greeted, the guys, that were part of the staff member. In my culture, both in church, the preacher, the pastor, is just all righteous. You go and you shake, and that's about the extent of it. So, coming into this has definitely been something that has changed my point of view as far as what should be, the culture with the people that you're working in kingdom ministry. So it's an awesome experience.
Awesome. Sim and Joseph specifically, maybe Johnny wants to throw in here. A lot of pastors out there watching this, and they are saying, "How do we build this? How do we grow camaraderie inside of?" They may not even have staff. But how do we grow camaraderie inside of our leadership team? What's a piece of advice you would give? And we'll start with Joseph. What's a piece of advice you would give somebody watching this saying, how do we grow this?
I just think it's start somewhere. That was one of the things that even you challenged me when I got here, because we come from a background in ministry where you're taught certain boundaries.
Very similar to Irvin.
Yeah.
What Irvin thought of a pastor.
And I'm sure there were righteous reasons why that thought process was in place. Yeah. But then once you challenged me to take those steps, it was just simple things like people would naturally long for a relationship.
Yep.
So whether it's a phone call, text message, a lunch here and there, one of my favorite things we do as a staff is simply eat lunch together. Mm-hmm. You'll notice people change their schedules around because this time it's, hey, everybody's going to be in the room. I mean, poor Chrissy, her food was late the other day. And she wasn't going to be able to eat when everybody ate, but she didn't want to miss that time together. So she came and hung out with everybody. Yeah. And so I'll just eat my lunch later because that time has become so valuable. And so it's something, just start somewhere.
Yep, agree. Sim?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely even different for me because I came in here knowing you as friend. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn to allow you to be my pastor and my boss. But for me, like, it was a natural thing for us to be friends, and Tony quickly became one of my best friends, and so the three of us, like, that's just what we did. We just hung out and had a great time, and so for everybody that came in after that, they were able to come into this culture of friendship and family that was already here, and it was easy because Maddie and Kimberly were always around, and they were like the family that I needed in Myrtle Beach. Yeah. And so then as other people came around us, that's who we were. Like it wasn't anything like we weren't striving for this. Like this is who we were. We were just family. And I, cuz none of my family's here. Like, and I needed family here.
Yep.
And so for me, like my family, I work with my family every day, And we've walked through great seasons. We've walked through the toughest seasons. We've walked through family passing away. We've walked through, getting married and not having kids yet, but
But at least we're talking about it now.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've walked through those seasons together, and as the staff has grown, we've just continued to walk through seasons of life together, and nothing has changed. Like, I feel the same way about all of these people in the circle that I do about you guys and Tony and Kimberly, that were the original people that when I came here, like, this is just an extension of the family that I had. It's like we've just adopted more kids.
For sure.
You know?
and And yeah, a lot. And the next question, I think, in this evolution of staff culture and camaraderie is, how do you, whenever we hire Johnny, not become jealous of Johnny? Or how do we keep our guard up in such a way that Christy's not jealous of Maddie and Rachel's relationship, or Rachel's not jealous of Maddie and Kimberly's relationship, or Kimberly's not jealous of, Rachel and Christy's relationship? How do we keep our guard up to where we don't get jealous? And listen, it's not like we hang out every Friday night or Saturday night.
Yeah.
Like this, maybe some of y'all do. We may go to dinner, every now and then or something of that nature, but it's not like we have this, every Friday night we're all together hanging out at each other's house. We're just family, just like a family would. We get together and we hang out, and then we don't see each other for, a few days, and it's okay that we're still family. So how do we keep the culture of camaraderie without jealousy seeping in? Anybody want to speak to that? I know Joseph has battled with some of these, thoughts and things. How do I see pictures of Johnny and Simeon going golfing on Saturday or Friday and not get jealous that I did get invited, but not get jealous that I didn't get invited. They didn't invite me. I'm jealous that they're, out to dinner without me. How do you guard your heart in that way? Anybody want to speak to it?
Don't get on social media.
No. I mean, I've been there where, we've made some structural changes inside of staff where there have been, different meetings and stuff like that. And I personally, because I have a lot of FOMO where I feel like I want to be a part of, every conversation, there have been times where, I would have to go through, okay, I'm not in this meeting. It's not a personal attack on me. It's just the vision, the mission, where we're going. It has to be this way. And so I remember, even having a conversation inside of the staff room where it's like, hey guys, for me personally, I've had a season of, well, this stinks that I'm not a part of these conversations, but I've also had to say, okay, this is what's best for the church. And so we have to say, okay, if that's what's best for the church, then we have to be willing to get on board on that. But I think a lot of it too is alignment inside of the staff and who you hire and who you bring on. It's okay, if we know, where our hearts are and what we care about and what we prioritize, then a lot of the times the things that are happening inside of, especially on the business side of things, they won't matter as much if, for instance, we're missing out on a meeting, because we understand the priority is all the same. I think for those relationships and stuff, I think then if you find yourself lacking in an area, maybe you want to, be on the golf course with the guys or whatever it is, then I think you have to put yourself in a place of vulnerability and transparency and say, hey, I'd love to go out there with you guys. Because if you keep it inside, then all it's going to do is fester. Yep. And then you get to a point where you say, well, nobody wants to hang out with me. I don't feel like I'm a part of the team. And then before you know it, you're resigning from something.
You've resigned a bunch.
Yeah, you haven't.
You have resigned a bunch from a bunch of different things.
You've done the Mark Rutland pushback.
For a bunch of different reasons, you've resigned a bunch.
For sure.
Somebody else, thoughts on being jealous or
Go ahead, Irvin.
Guarding your heart against jealousy?
For me, I've experienced this with family just because my wife's family is so large. Mm-hmm. You don't get invited to everything, Yeah. But for us, I would say as simple as keeping an open mind that some of us are in different stages of our life.
That's right.
Like right now, Pastor Johnny and I have this Latino kind of bond we have. He'll stop at food trucks and he'll FaceTime me, like, hey, bro, look at what I got. None of you guys, will have that. And if you hear us talking about it, it's just he's going through a phase right now where he's experimenting with
Johnny goes through phases. He wants to be culturally relevant. He's done this with Nigerians. He's done this with Brazilians. And now he's doing this with the Hispanic Mexican. Yeah. So it's Johnny. He goes through phases.
Cultural mindset.
I think it's simple like that.
I agree with that. Like, we're all friends, and we're friends outside of church as well. But our lifestyles kind of have an impact on who we hang out with
sure.
a little bit more outside of the church. Like Pastor and myself, without Johnny and Christy knowing, have claimed John DeHaven as our grandchild.
That's right.
So we hang out with them a lot because
Not
of John
because of them,
DeHaven.
because
No.
of, no, just kidding.
No, because of John DeHaven.
Carson will wait, she'll look around on Friday and she'll be like, call the Killmans. I need to see that
rookie. No, but like Caleb and Johnny are very close. Like Johnny's someone that can actually speak into Caleb's life, and he can take that. And Christy is essentially Cammie's best friend. Even though there's
Haley fights for it as well.
There's a huge age gap there, but like
Huge.
they just
Huge.
So young, right? She's so young.
Yeah.
no, there's only like 10, 12 years. Christy is the older sister Cammie did not get.
Yeah.
She
got
got an older
Carson.
sister. She got Carson. But
The nice older sister.
yeah, no, but it's like it's if your kids find somebody that they want to hang out with, we still try to want to hang out with our kids.
Yeah.
So we gravitate to who our kids want to hang out with.
And honestly, there's concepts of we like to go out to eat. It's something that has always been a thing of ours. Rachel and Chris don't go out to eat. They cook in the house. We miss hangout opportunities because on Friday night we're not calling saying, "Hey, what are y'all cooking? Can we come over?"
I should do that.
Well,
That would be
what I'm
so
saying
fun.
is like
You
that's not
save your money.
like really our thing. Going into somebody's house uncomfortable. We'd much rather just go to dinner with somebody. And so who's going to dinner? So then you're you immediately cut off who can go and who can't go just based on that's kind of how our lifestyle is, And so some of those things, just seeing it differently to understand, hey, the reason they're there is because of this, not because they didn't want me there, but because if you go to the beach together, I don't want to go with you. If the girls go to the beach, you're welcome to invite. If Sim and Olivia and Sam and Dan go to the beach, I'm not jealous that they didn't invite me and Maddie, because I'm not going to the beach with the girls. I'm just not doing it. It's weird to me. I'm not doing it. So there are some. You're right. There's some things that just make sense as to why. Yeah. How about somebody else? The concept of jealousy and guarding your heart, Kimberly.
Okay, so like you said, me and Maddie, we've been close 18 years. We've been friends for a very long time. And then whenever we had new people come in, very, very jealous heart of, why is she hanging out with them? Why are they hanging out with the Killmans all the time now? Why are they hanging out with the baby? But it all goes back to two things. One, like you said, very different seasons of life. Y'all were, where my kids are kind of in the middle stages. They have young. Also, if I ever called and said, "Hey, Pastor and Maddie, y'all want to go out and eat dinner?" You know what you would say? Absolutely, let's go. But you wait for people to do that to you rather than just saying, "Hey, let's go out and eat dinner together." So I think it kind of is a double fold, and not to ever think that people are against you, that they don't want you to be invited. They are just living life and having fun. And if you want to join in, like Johnny said, hey, put yourself out there.
Yep.
I think one thing for me is that you've always said to me, any table I sit at, you're welcome to sit at.
Absolutely.
Right.
And for me, I am not one to invite myself ever, and Liv's not either. But that invitation's always there, and I know that. I think as humans, we all have feelings, all have thoughts, but you have to take those thoughts captive that aren't true.
Yeah.
And you got to know truth. And the truth is, I'm always invited at a table that Pastor is sitting at.
That's right.
And I think for me, like, I know that in my heart. I know that. Sometimes my thought life is different than the truth. And you've got to take those thoughts captive and know that that's not true. Like, that is just something that is trying to take me off of the truth. And when you can focus on the truth is that Pastor and his family love me and they want me there. I didn't go there because of me. And, a lot of that is what's true is because I didn't put myself in that situation, or there's so many different reasons as to why, but the truth is I'm welcome at any table that pastors wants me to sit at, and I know that, and so that makes those thoughts that are contrary to that, it just kind of dulls them.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Anytime y'all want to come over,
Yeah.
come on over. I got 2 living rooms now.
Yeah, and y'all can get in my fridge anytime you want.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked yesterday
Refrigerator
about refrigerator rights. And truly, I mean this. I actually have thought about it and pondered every single staff member. And to me, every staff member has refrigerator rights. They may not know it, and they may not be comfortable taking the refrigerator rights, but every one of them have refrigerator rights in my home. They can open the refrigerator and get whatever they want to out of it, and I'm totally cool with it. You have some people go in your house and they open your refrigerator. You're like, why is that person opening my refrigerator? But
Right.
that's not how I feel about our staff, and I think that's unique. And I hope we have given access into our lives in such a way that like Sim said, even though you may not be there all the time or be hanging out all the time, you are welcome. There's not and Sim has experienced this. There's not a table that I'm sitting at or a conversation that I'm in that I'm going to look at you and say, wait, what are you doing? I'm talking to this person, Yeah. No, you walk up on me, and I don't care who I'm talking to.
Don't be an idiot. But.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Don't be rude and interrupt the conversation. But you walk up on me, I'm wrapping my arms around you and loving you. I don't do well with that, type of stuff. So, anyways, any other thoughts on guarding your heart against jealousy?
I think it's being aware of who you are as a person. By nature, I'm a jealous person. So, that was something I knew about myself.
Same.
And so then when I got to see some of your, I don't know, insecurities is the word, but like you said, some of your things, when we had conversations I was like, oh, he feels that way too. And kind of going along what Kimberly said, it's a two-way street. You know what I mean? I'm more like Sim. I was always taught, you don't invite yourself nowhere. Yeah. Now, if they ask you, that was a respect thing. You don't ask. And so you're almost fighting nature. I want to be there, but I want to be wanted. It's this weird thing. But the role that we've allowed you and Miss Maddie play, I watched Rebecca get up at 5 a.m. that morning to go to the beach. Becca's not a people person. That was a huge evolution in our lives to see her do that and have her picture on her desk with that painting or whatever y'all made.
That's a great sunset.
That is.
That was the best sunset
That was
I've ever
encouraging to me. But then also, I kind of put it in context with my kids. I got 2 very different kids. Adriana is a living room kid. She cannot play in a room. She wants to, you have to look at her, Eden, she will go crawl in the hole and disappear, and you throw some food scraps out, she'll come get them, and then come out like a gremlin, But I joke about that, but then she'll get upset because Adriana runs and hugs. Adriana's the kid, you walk in the door, Daddy's home.
Yep.
Eden's like, is he home? Oh, when did you get here? I've been here 2 hours.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But then gets upset because of the perceived favoritism that takes place.
Absolutely.
And I tell her all the time, you can come sit with me anytime. You can come into the living room anytime. You can come be a part. I came in your room last night. You kicked me out because you said I was bothering you, and all I did was lay across the bed. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And when I do see that with my own kids, then I'm like, oh, I'm being Eden. I'm jealous of Johnny, who's like, where we going? What we doing? Where we going? All this kind of stuff. And I didn't ask you to go anywhere. I didn't ask you to go to breakfast or whatever. And so it's this weird thing that you start analyzing yourself and like Sim said.
Because last time you asked me to go to breakfast about a year ago, I went with you. We went to
That is true. I was sitting there thinking about, I was like,
we went to Toasted Oak.
We did.
Toasted Yolk.
Toasted Yolk.
Toasted Yolk.
I've never been there.
Yeah.
Me and Joseph went.
Nobody asked me to go.
But
I bet if you'd have known we was going, you'd have said, what time? I'll be there.
Yes, I must have missed something.
Just pick me up.
no.
Johnny's so weird how he's not a social butterfly, and he is a social butterfly all at the same time. It's so weird.
He's a conundrum.
He is a conundrum.
That's right.
You're a whole conundrum, like a whole one.
That needs to be your nickname. Conundrum.
It's my superpower.
Johnny has been given so many nicknames on this podcast. It is hard to keep up with them all.
Crazy.
Hard to keep up with them.
Someone said it's psychotic.
No one knew how to respond.
And there's
Dear
that.
people out there, nobody has ever called him that. Definitely nobody on staff. So
Right.
I didn't say that. They're nice to me.
Did I say that right? That's it, right?
Segueing out of that, I would just go to say that as a staff member and as someone who moved away from their entire family, you guys have modeled camaraderie well. Like we do feel like we have refrigerator rights at your house. You know, Johnny definitely did. Like the second day.
I know y'all never have hot sauce in there.
We don't.
I look in there every
Even
time.
though it
No
makes
hot
me
sauce.
uncomfortable to think, I would probably ask, hey, could I get a water every time that I'm there, you know? But I feel like even within the staff, even if they've never been to your house yet, even though you have open invitation, there's still, you guys love each and every one of us the same. And I think it goes both ways. You know, we have come to Carson's soccer games, and Caleb, shout out when he used to play soccer, you know, like even back then we would go there. We went to, piled in the van and went to Chick-fil-A to support Cammie. Like we do life together, and it's as much as we want to be involved in your lives and the amount of times that you open up opportunities for us to do that.
it's awesome. So pastors out there, listen to the wisdom, open up your life and your heart, and allow your staff, your leadership in. One of the things that is always said about me, if you ask people in the state about me or people who outside perspective looking in, they say, wow, he's really hard to work for. You ever heard that? Wow, he's really hard to work for.
You should live with him. He's fantastically to live with.
Thank you, honey.
You're not hard at all.
Thank you. As people are seeing this, they're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Because he's very, like,
Loving.
accountability driven. There's expectation and requirements. Like, this doesn't make sense at all that people have the perception of him that he's so hard to work for, and yet you're talking about camaraderie and refrigerator rights at his house.
And I think the answer is yes. I think that was one of the things that sealed the deal for me. The first time you and I had a blow up where I was like, that's it.
You quit.
I can't do this.
You
know what I
quit,
mean?
and I said, if you ever say the word divorce again, we're done.
And that was probably the most, we've had some conversations since I got comfortable. That was probably the most uncomfortable early in the process I've ever been. Got called to the principal's office.
Yep.
Oh.
Shut that door. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you look me dead in my face with intensity. If you ever say it again, you're fired.
Yep.
I'll look out. I'll help you find a church. We'll do whatever you need to do. We don't talk about divorce. If you talk about divorce, we're done.
If we're in this, we're in this together.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I left that moment, and past experiences taught me, okay, this is forever different. This is now, we've had a shift in this relationship we've built for 10 years, and this one emotional moment has ruined that. And then 30 minutes later, you come by, hey, bro, you good? You good? And you do that goofy stuff where you're kind of poking the bear, and I'm like, I'm still pouting. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? And you're like, no, you're good. What you doing for lunch? You know what I mean? You coming to lunch? I'm like, no, I'm hiding in my hole. You're like, no, you're not. Come on, you know? And like, that taught me something. That taught me that we can have disagreements, and we've had them around the room, you know, and then still walk out of that, and we're still just like your kids. We get an argument with kids. I don't stop loving them. I don't stop being in a relationship with them.
That's right.
And so that's been a healthy experience for me.
Have I ever had really hard, heated conversation with you?
More than anybody else on staff, guaranteed.
I don't know. There's one that's close. Let's ask the next one. Have I ever had really hard, heated conversation with you?
Talking about Joseph or me?
No, you, boy.
Few.
Have I ever had hard, heated conversation with you?
Yes, I don't like it, but yes.
Have I ever had hard, heated conversation with you?
Yeah.
Oh, that was awkward.
Yes.
Not Irvin.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, it's coming.
She's
Lucky
the queen.
dog.
With me, yes.
Yeah. Whatever.
Every day.
Whatever.
Maddie, put your guard up. Zip up.
But I think that's the beauty of we're pressing towards kingdom purpose, eternal impact, transformation in people's lives. And are we going to have hard, heated conversations? Of course. We're going to do that, yeah. Because we're pressing forward. Because we're not going to, come up short of our goal. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
And so almost like a football coach, you kind of sometimes have to, rattle the cage a little bit and get them going so that we can then look ahead and say, all right, now this is where we're going. Mike's up.
I think, too, though, you see who we are and who God has called us to be, and you push us to do that, even though sometimes we don't even see it
No
ourselves.
doubt about it.
Yeah,
And
100%.
sometimes those are hard conversations that you have to have, not only for the people that we're leading, but also for ourselves and who we are.
No doubt about it.
And I think it's totally different, and it comes from a totally different place. The first time I realized that you really loved me and that you wanted the best for me.
Yep.
Once I realized, he means it. Like, he wasn't just saying that. Like, he really cares about Simeon, the person, not the worship leader, not the gift, not the person that he's paying his paycheck, but he cares about me, like the person. And when I realized that, those hard conversations, those tough moments, they don't make me want to quit or make me feel like you want to fire me. They make me feel like, oh, you want me to be better.
Yep.
And you want me to be better for me, for the kingdom of God, for the church, but for me.
Yep.
Because I have something that more in me that God's calling me to and that you see and that you want that for me.
Right.
That makes a world of
I was about to
difference.
say, I've moved a couch for everybody.
Yeah.
Some a few.
Couches. But I've moved a couch for everybody.
Couple.
I will do whatever it takes to show you that I am fully committed to your life.
Yeah.
And I've taken whippings for some of you. I've taken, verbal, things for some of you. And I don't say that proudly or arrogantly. I say that as I am uber committed to every single one of you, and not your position that you hold inside of the church.
Yeah.
I am committed to, because the truth is, Johnny's held 12 positions here.
Yeah.
That's a true story.
And I'm as committed to him as I was the day he wowed me and told me how great of an executive pastor he's going to be. And so I am uber committed to Johnny.
Android.
It's Android. I don't know. What do I do? It's an accident. I am uber committed to every one of you. And I think because of my commitment level, I'm able to look at you and say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you acting like that? I need you to be better.
Yeah.
Because I see better in you. I see greatness in you. I literally look around the room and think, man, if all of us if this was our staff right here, if it was just this, if all of us just achieved the level of greatness that God has called us to, we could change the world.
Yeah.
And then you add all of the other amazing people that we ran out of seats for, that we couldn't let them in the room with us today, and the people that are behind the in the production room in there, the Tonys, the Calebs, the Clints, you start adding the Samanthas and the Angies and all of these people. I don't want to start calling names because I'll forget people, but you start adding these people into it. If all of us, our staff, could just achieve the level of greatness that God has called us to, man, unstoppable not in our glory, our honor, unstoppable for the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
We could change the world if we could and I know that. And that's the hard part. I know Simeon Sloan has only just scratched the surface of who God has called him to be.
Yeah.
I talked about it a few chapters ago inside of this book where I didn't one day all of a sudden become talented. Like nobody looked at me my whole life. Nobody's ever looked at me and said, man, you're just so talented. No, nobody's ever done that. They've looked at you and said that, but nobody's ever said that to me. And so if you're not careful, you get by on the talent that you have rather than the preparation and the hard work that you have to put in to achieve everything that God is calling you to. And so inside of our lives, you look around this room and man, we could change. Christy could change the world if she could just scratch the surface of what God is calling her to. Joseph could change the world. Johnny could change around the room. Every one of you, y'all could change the world if you just scratch the surface. You know, Maddie could change. Good Lord, Maddie could change the world. She starts speaking. Every woman's ears open. Every time she talks about some of her struggles, all of a sudden, we start getting overwhelmed with messages of all of the people that say, "Thank you, you've changed my life." Yeah. And we've only scratched the surface of what God wants to do inside of us and through us. And so yeah, I push hard, and I fight, wrestle with you to get that greatness out of you. And sometimes I'm maybe not as thoughtful about your life and your fun time and your downtime as I should be. And I get all of those things. But I'm wrestling with your flesh because I want the Spirit of God that's in you and the greatness that He's put inside of you to come out. It's not your greatness. It's His greatness through you. All of you are humble servants of the Lord that God wants to use to do incredible things for the kingdom of God. And I want to see that come to pass. And so that I can, let's go back to the beginning of this conversation, so that I can cheer for you and applaud what God has done in you. Not so that the church can grow or so that, everybody can look at Palmetto Pointe Church. No, so that I can cheer for you and what God has done inside of you and through you to celebrate His hand and in your life, on your life, and working through your life. So anyways, thanks for spending some time with me today. I appreciate each one of you. I love y'all. Thank you, those of you behind the camera and the soundboard. We appreciate y'all. Thank you for those of you staff members that didn't get a seat because y'all weren't as fast as these. And love y'all. Appreciate you. Peace. Let's go.
Let's go.